if we reflect on everything we talked about so far, Chris, one of the things that I think stands out is that, we're talking about the here and now so far. This isn't stuff that is a pipe dream of the future. This is actually capability that's alive and ready and available right here, right now for advice businesses. But if we take a step forward into the future, what's your view of AI in the future in terms of producing maybe a much more proactive and personalized approach to compliance strategies?
So, again, another great question. I think what we talk about is that firms have to be future ready now. Okay, what does that mean? They can't afford not to get on the AI train or, cruiser ship or whatever you want to call it, right? The speedboats are still there for them to get on the cruiser ship, right? So they need to that's the first point we'd say. And a good example of what I mean by that is that we were probably one of the first AI vendors to develop our SLM, which is a small language model for our compliance chatbot to work in. So that really digitized the FCA handbook. So you can ask the chatbot any question that you want, and it becomes a technical help desk, and it will go off and find what it can do from our SLM. But if you can't find it, it will use something like ChatGPT or Claude to go out and find the rest of the information. So the chocolate on the top of the cake, if you like, the compliance cake, it will do. And it's already here now doing that. So firms are using that as like a digital technical help desk. Now, we're not replacing the compliance officer with that at all. But what it's there 24/7 in real time, giving them the latest information and guidance and support and resources. And what you've kind of got coming through is Agentic AI. All right. So and that's kind of already here to a certain degree. So we use it a little bit with our technology where AI, so a monitor AI, where it will go out and search, for the right resources to bring back into the query that's being asked, or the compliance problem that it's trying to solve. But Agentic AI is going to be huge, because that is effectively, lots of little agents going out and providing solutions in real time all the time. It doesn't stop, and that's revolutionary. It's not just transformative; it's going to be revolutionary for the industry. But we're probably a year or so, a couple of years away from that as it stands to be really meaningful. So there's lots to look forward to, and I wouldn't be concerned or scared of it, because I think if you're starting to dip your toe in the water of the AI water at this moment in time, and test and trial is the best way forward. Look at the tools that are out there and again, in our cost of compliance report we've just launched, we just published last week, what we looked at there is that, well, firms now across the whole sector are spending on direct and indirect compliance costs about £6 billion, right? And that's huge, right? 6 billion. And in our sector alone, Nick, the overall, in the wealth management sector is £6 billion. And so 20% of that, is £1.2 billion, right? So there's £1.2 million going somewhere.
Yeah.
And if we could halve that, that could be a big saver. And the other thing to mention as well, whether it could go in the future by using AI in the right way across the business and the right tools in the right place for the right people, is one of our research outputs that came back from the report is now, advisors or planners are spending about 34% of their time with their clients. The rest of it is on paperwork and admin and paraplanning and whatever else goes with it. Okay, what if we could flip that round on its head, which is what hopefully AI, and tech will be able to do. Not now, but certainly in the next 3 to 5 years.
I mean, without doubt, I think, Chris, we're seeing AI and capabilities that involve AI as part of what they do, lowering the cost to serve. That's ultimately what
Correct.
we're talking about there.
Yeah.
And if we genuinely lower the cost to serve, it gives advisor firms the option, they don't need to take it, but the option to start serving more clients.
Mhm.
And maybe that in part helps us address the dreaded advice
The
gap.
bias gap,
And,
yeah, for sure.
who knows where we'll go on that. Okay, so that's a little bit in the future, and you said 3 to 5 years there. Let's really, because I mean, crystal balling with AI is really tricky, because 5 years is a heck of a long time. It changes hugely in 5 months, let
Correct.
alone 5 years.
Yeah.
But if we if I can indulge you a little bit, 5 years out, where do you think is the future of a kind of an AI augmented advice and compliance process?
So what you're alluding to there to a certain degree is workflows, for example. And, when we talk about, as I said at the start of this, we talk about the integration piece. It has to be deep and meaningful and workflow driven for sure. So there was a great report that came out of America called the MIT report. And anyone have a look at it. It's really good stuff about the future of AI and why 95% of AI tools currently aren't working.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is effectively that firms are kind of don't quite know what they want. So they're going out and looking at, human beings can be like magpies, bright, shiny new things that sits on top of workflows, doesn't really change anything. And that can fudge the matter. And then it can not, they can get confused or decide that it's not actually offering value. Therefore, we've tried AI. No, thank you. So what they need to be looking at really is looking at the workflows that goes with one particular task, like client file reviews, for example, which is in our cost of compliance report, and look at how that plays out in a manual process, and then how it plays out in a hybrid process, okay, in the next 2 years. And then talking about 5 years, how it's 100% AI driven. And you'll be surprised that it will really compress the workflows, which will then alleviate and pull down the cost to serve, like you've just talked about, Nick. It will help, like you talked about, with the advice gap, which is why the FCA are very interested in the AI space. From that side of it. So you've got all those efficiencies coming through on a workflow basis. And then it comes down to one thing, really, which is at the heart of anything in financial planning and financial advice, which is trust. And trust is all about just the client, do all the stakeholders trust the AI driven business to deliver what they're saying they're going to deliver. And I think that's going to be far more a real state of play in 5 years' time, because by then firms will have trialed it, tested it, gone with the vendors that they want to go with. And by the way, that MIT report talked about if you're going to build proprietary technology, you've got a 33% chance of success. If you've got a vendor specialist end-to-end solution, focused solution on a particular area or outcome, you've got a 67% chance of success. So it's more success with specialist vendors than you have with internal projects. So from that side of it, what you've got is a scenario where you've got an AI truly enabled business in 5 years' time that hopefully is trusted, gives the right resources, brings down the cost to serve, improves client service through agentic AI, and we'll get to a position where tech, as we know it, if built well, is a great enabler for the clients to get the right product, the right service, the right outcome, which is important from the FCA. It will also help the back office tech, like your tech, to build out and basically empower firms in a more streamlined fashion from that side of it, and it will help the advisors do the job. Because when I was an advisor for 10 years. The most enjoyable part of the job was with my clients. But if I only spending 34% of my time with them, am I really going to do it? I don't know.
And you use the magic word trust there,
Yeah,
Chris. Actually, for as long as the hills, trust has been the central word that distinguishes advice businesses. That's their clients trust them, and
correct.
everything else is an output or a product
Yeah,
of that fundamental trust. So
absolutely.
trust your advisors, trust your vendor, a specialist vendor such as yourselves, to deliver the capability that matters.
100%.
Fantastic. I've really enjoyed today, Chris. Thank you hugely for your time, and keep going.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.